All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Inspired Women Inspire Women series. I am, as I always say, super excited to bring to you today Becky Sadler. She is an amazing, inspiring force within this business. That's the way that I view you. So whether or not you view yourself as a force, I do. And I am absolutely honored that you're taking this time to sit down with me and with all of us and let me kind of use this platform to showcase you. So thank you.
Well, thank you. That's so cute of you to say. And I love the part where you're like, even if you don't think you're inspiring, others think you're inspiring. I think that's my favorite part about life and business and just all things. I remember, okay, you probably have another question you want to start on, but when you posted in the SSD group, so this is a platform for inspiring people that have kind of made it to the top and that do all the things. And you said, what's your wheelhouse? What are you good at? What's your thing that you would say, this is what I do? And honestly, I was like, I didn't answer because I was like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know that there's any one thing that I could say, this is who I am, this is what I do. And so I think that's why it's so fun to think that even if I'm thinking I'm not very inspiring, or how could somebody else even know who I am? You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of us go through that thought process and that loop in our head of what do I bring to the table, or who am I? And I think that, like you said, we're inspiring to somebody, and we do have that light that we shine. Anyway, so that was just kind of fun.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And somebody will relate to all of us on some level.
Yep.
It may have absolutely nothing to do with Scentsy. Yep. But we find this gravitational pull toward people that we can relate to. And I think that's one of my favorite things about this series, and what has been born out of it is being able to connect people that they otherwise wouldn't connect with. And the coolest comment that I've received so far, and I've received many, but one of the coolest ones was somebody said, I would never have the courage to approach the women you're sitting down with.
Oh.
And so you are bringing them into my living room, into my office, and you're asking them things that I wouldn't have the courage to ask, but I love getting to know them. And I think that is probably one of the coolest parts that has come of this, is that we all have a story. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if it's, I came from a horrible childhood, or my life has just been sweet. My life has just been sweet. And whatever that story is, it impacts somebody. You can hear the same thing over and over and over again, but one day it's going to hit you different. Mm-hmm. And so being able to bring these conversations, out into the open and just say, look, I'm not just a Scentsy consultant. I am a wife, a mother, a sister, an aunt, a spouse, whatever. Mm-hmm. And Scentsy is just a small part of what I do. It doesn't define me, but I've grown through it. I've certainly grown. And so to start, tell us, Becky, who are you? Why should we care who you are? And you're going to say, why would you ask that question that way? But we do care. And so tell us, who are you?
Well, I am Becky Sadler, and I live in Meridian, Idaho, and I am a mother of 5 kids, and I have been in Scentsy for almost 14 years, so it seems like a lifetime. It's hard to remember before, it's kind of always been there, and it's ebbed and flowed along with my life. So I guess, why do you care who I am? Like you said, I think that's different for everybody, but why I think I care who I am is because it has been a part of my life, and there's been times where it's taken over my life, but my life, as it has changed, so have I, and my business has been there to help me. So I graduated from college in business, and I always wanted to have a business. And I remember even in high school, I'd be in these classes and they'd be talking about your future and how you have to live up to your dreams and you have to have an impact on the world. And I was believing it and I was feeling it. And I was like, yes, I've got something great I need to do. And so I would imagine myself walking in a fancy pantsuit with my little briefcase and walking into a big conference room and just wowing the socks off of all the executives and being somebody, you know what I mean? And I thought, I will have arrived. That was kind of my big life dream and my goal. And, I have never done that, but I have found that, you know what, if I were to have had that, it would not, I wouldn't be as fulfilled. That doesn't mean somebody can't have a career. That doesn't mean somebody can't wear the pantsuit, but you know what, I'm most comfortable in my workout clothes, in my living room with my family and doing the life that I want to. So I can work out at 10 o'clock in the morning if I want to. I can go to help out my kids' school if I want to. I can go for a walk. I can take a nap. I mean, not that I do all those things, but I find that for me to be a whole, complete person, I really value my time freedom and my choice freedom. And, at this point, I don't think I'm employable because I value my life so much and how I have it that I can't imagine. For me, like I said, everybody's different, and some people that might fulfill you. But for me, like, I've found that I'm happiest when I'm living my dream life and the life that I want to. And that's what Scentsy's done for me, is it's helped me become the kind of person that can create that dream life for me. And it's different than what I thought it would look like. But it's been the vehicle to really be the businesswoman without having to have the career, if you will,
What did you think it was going to look like?
With Scentsy when I joined?
Yeah. What did you think? I mean, and I have to back up and just clarify for anybody watching that doesn't know, Scentsy is headquartered in Meridian, Idaho. So
yeah,
you are next door neighbors basically with Scentsy Commons, Scentsy headquarters. And so, but your life was in a very different stage back when you started. So what did that look like when you started? How did you find it? And what did you expect?
So those are fun questions because, like you said, it is so different. And of course, there's been a lot of years, so everybody's life just with the passing of time would look different. But back then, I had 2 little toddlers, and I had just had my 3rd baby, and he was about 6 months old, I think. My husband had just graduated from MBA school at a private school. We had $100,000 in student loan debt, and it was weighing on my shoulders. And I mean, he was starting his own business, so it was slow. So we know what it looks like to start a business from the ground up as well, and to start like a business in a box like Scentsy, and it is night and day. And I always thought, well, I want to have more control over it. I want to do my own thing. I want to start my own business. And sometimes even along the Scentsy journey, honestly, I've thought, it's a little too constrictive. If I could just do my own business like I wanted to do it, then I could fly. But I found that I really, really enjoy the life that I can create with Scentsy because I don't have to create and source my own products. I don't have to create my own catalog. I don't have to get a professional marketer. I don't have to decide on price points and create and manage inventory and things that if I would have had my own business, like I thought that was a completely separate business, there would be so many facets of it that partnering with something like Scentsy has literally just lifted off my shoulders. And so I can just hone in and fly, And so that's been really fun. But so he was starting his own business, and I was kind of helping him with that while raising our babies. And it was just the weight of the student loans. I mean, we were penniless, but we could cover our expenses. We were living with my parents even. But it was that student loan debt that I was like, no, it was the interest on the student loan debt. Sure. At that time, we had 10.25% interest on it. And that was what was killing me, because I was like, I'm paying so much money every month for literally nothing. I mean, the money, I was grateful that we were able to borrow it because that enabled his education. But I'm like, this interest is literally just for nothing. And that was what ate me. And every month I'd get the statement. I'd be like, I've got to do something about this because I'm hardly touching that loan, And it was his loan, but it was our loan because that's kind of how we, it's our life together. So I thought, I've got to go get a job. Like I said, I had a newborn baby. I mean, he was like 6 months, I think, at the time. So he wasn't newborn, but he was still little. And I had 2 little kids. I had a 2-year-old, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, probably. No, 3 and 5. So anyway, I had a bunch of little kids. And I just thought, okay, I'm going to go get a job because husband's home. He's working on his business, but he's home. He can watch the babies. And then I'll go get a job. I found a job. It was a great opportunity. I was going to be making a lot of money. They were going to be super flexible with my kids and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, this can give me the breathing room that I needed. It wasn't anything else. It was for, again, my life and what I wanted. And so I was all set to go. And the night before, I just had that sinking feeling in my gut, when you just know something is just not right. It's just not what I want to do. It's just not the direction that I need to be taking right now. And I was like, oh man, I am not a flaky person, but I called the next morning when I was supposed to, show up. And I was like, I'm totally flaking on you. This is not right. I can't show up. I'm not going to waste your time and my time, but you're going to have to find somebody else. So I just knew that wasn't the direction I could take with my life. But then I was like, okay, well, now what? Because I still also was like, I've got to do something. And I just, sometimes you just have that little seed of spark of something in your heart that you don't really, for me, it was the student loans and finding something. But for everybody, there's some kind of purpose or some kind of interest or some kind of desire, something that needs to be fulfilled or something that needs to be taken care of. And so you just look around, what is it that's going to fill that need? Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's time, sometimes it's relationships, but all of us at some point have that thought of, oh, there's something else. I've got to do something about this. So I had turned down that other job, and I thought, well, if that job wasn't it, was it just that job, or was it that I'm not supposed to have any job? And I just really, my heart says stay here with my kids. I didn't know. So I was talking to my mom, because remember, we were so poor, we were living in their bonus room, because we also thought we were going to move to Africa. So we moved in with them for a couple of weeks, and that's another story for another day. But so I was talking to my mom, and I was like, I just don't even know. And she's like, you know what you should do? And I said, no. And mind you, she wasn't a Scentsy consultant. She didn't have any vested interest in this, but she did know Orville just on a personal basis. And she's like, you know what you should do? You should join Scentsy. And I was like, Mom, you're my mom. Do you know me? I'm not super social. I don't host parties. I'm not the life of the party. I don't really do that thing. You know, I want to run a real business someday, you know, and those were kind of my thoughts. And she said, no, I think you should run it and join and run it like a business. And because she saw that little unique niche that was truly mine, because that's what I'd always wanted to do. She saw my potential, and then that helped me to put myself in the driver's seat. And then it started those wheels turning. And I thought, okay, if I were to run it like a business, what would that look like? Where would I start? Who would I approach? Where would I go? And like you said, I joined in Home Office Central. So my church congregation is 1 square mile. It's done by area. And at that point, when I joined in 2008, there were already, before I joined, 30 consultants within that 1 square mile of just my church. That's not even counting other people that I didn't happen to know. So I was like, okay, one, it's the saturated word, you know, it's kind of been there, done that. And the second thing is, it was almost 5 years old, and there, you're going to laugh, but again, these are the things that went through my head. There were already 5,000 consultants, and I felt like I knew them all. So I'm like, that ship has sailed. It's kind of already done its thing. Isn't that funny? Meaning at any phase in the business, you can hear or have your own brain tell yourself, the opportunity is limited. There's too many people. The opportunity is not big enough for you, or the business itself, it doesn't have much growth left in it. And thankfully, all of those things were wrong. And thankfully, I decided to just take the leap anyway, because again, it was that little seed that was planted in my mind of, how could I do this? How could I make it my own story and my own, my own journey? And then I found that I just couldn't sleep at night, because it would be like, oh, well, I could talk to her. Oh, I have this college roommate that's now living here. I could send them stuff, or I could ask my cousin. And I, again, didn't want to be that spammy direct sales girl. And especially with it already being so heavily done at that time in this area, I made a vow that I would never ask anyone within my direct circle of proximity to host a party or to join, but that I would try to show them how much I loved my business and how great it was, and that they would come. And they did, but I didn't ask. And I know this kind of goes against and turns on the head everything that we do in trainings. We say, ask everybody, ask all your circles. But for me at that time, I knew that if I was going to have integrity to myself and my character and become the person that I wanted to be, as well as have longevity and be able to stick with it, I had to make sure that I was running my business in a way that was true to myself, and that I wouldn't throw up in my mouth, you know? So I was like, okay, I'm spreading it out. And I mailed out those packages all over. I asked my cousin's wife in Michigan. She hosted a party for me. So I told all my friends and family, I said, look, I need you to help me, but I'm not going to stay with you. You don't even have to buy if you don't want to. And to this day, most of my family doesn't buy from me, which is totally fine. But I need you to help me introduce you to your friends who do want to buy, or who do want to join, or who do want to host, because they're out there. I just don't know them. So I need you to connect me so that I can expand outside of my little tiny circle right here. And so that I can make this a business that I could see in my head that it had the potential to be, but I didn't really know how that was going to look, you know? So anyway, it was a journey, and that's why I joined. And I was slow. I was a slow grower. I still remember in 2009, I went to Scentsy Convention, as it was called back then, in Salt Lake City. So I joined in February of 2008. So I was a consultant for a long time by then, by my standards. And I think I was still a lead consultant. Maybe I was a star. Like I say, it took me a long time, because I kept my priorities of my family first. I did it only nap time, only after they went to bed. And I was like, you know what? Plus, my vision for what it could be and my needs were so much smaller back then. I just needed, $100 to pay off that loan payment, or, you know what I mean? Like it was what I could do with the time, which was great. And that was a huge benefit to my family and to me and whatever. But so I remember going to that SFR, and Melissa, when did you join? Were you in Salt Lake City?
February of '08.
Oh my gosh, we're twins.
Yeah.
We're twins.
February of '08. And yes, Shine in '09 was my first convention.
And do you remember, well, my '08 was my first because it was here in Boise at the Boise Center on the Grove, but Shine in '09 was the one that kind of blew my mind because they were giving away those cars, income disclosure, all the things below, but they were giving away cars and SSDs were walking across the stage like superstars. And I had been in it for like, I don't know what, a year and a half at that time. And I turned to my husband who was there with me at the awards banquet table. And I turned to him and I said, do you think that'll ever be me? Do you think I'll ever do that? Do you think I'll ever make it like this? You know what I mean? Because it was so small and it was everything that we needed at that time. And it was paying off our loans. And it was giving me, again, something that I didn't know that I needed at that time as a stay-at-home mom, because that was my choice. But I'm also a very independent person and I'm also a very driven person. And I love being a mom, but at the same time, I didn't love what I felt like was on a hamster wheel. Every day I have to get up and I have to make food because they just eat it and I have to make it again tomorrow. Every day we make the beds and they sleep in them, so I have to make them again tomorrow. And it just felt like I wasn't making any progress. And I knew that I was raising my kids and that was my one priority, but at the same time, it was hard to not see progress, Mm-hmm. And it wasn't always my dream to be a mom. And again, that's another side story, but I didn't think I'd like kids because I am very independent and I am very kind of do my own thing. So I was like, I don't know where your shoes are. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So I was afraid that I wouldn't even want that. So here I was kind of stuck in between these two worlds of I've decided I want this and I'm feeling so fulfilled, but at the same time, there's still something that I needed to be able to see some progress within my own life. And that was the emotional side of Scentsy that I didn't know was a need that needed to be fulfilled. I knew I had the financial need, but I didn't know that I would get so much more out of running a business the way that I could. Was just, I don't know. So it fulfilled that side for me. And now I'm scrolling. I can't even remember where I went. But so when I was sitting there thinking, is this going to be me? It kind of opened up that, okay, it's more than just your monthly payments that it could make, and more than even just that emotional feeling of I'm making progress and I'm doing. Of seeing yourself down the road, I think that is so important. And it comes at different times. And sometimes even now, I think, it took me 10 years to promote to superstar director, 10 years as a star director, not from start time, but as a star director. I sat in that seat for 10 years, which was totally fine because it was providing for our family. We literally lived off it after my husband lost his job. And it was a great place. I was very comfortable in that seat. I wasn't antsy to get out. But at that same point, it was kind of like, I'm happy here. Maybe this is what I'm here for. Maybe this was my seat. But then it's that little spark inside that said, no, maybe there's something else. Maybe there's something more. Maybe there's more you could do. Maybe just hold on. There's another corner you're going to turn and it's going to look different, So anyway, that's a long version of why did I start? Why am I here?
But it's perfect because again, you and I we talked about prior to this, there is something that is going to resonate with somebody. And so never think of yourself. Our stories are long. Our journeys are long. But I think you did an amazing job giving us the summary version of why you and I are here today together. Tell me about that feeling when you hit the top level of the company.
I am a goal-driven person. I don't always achieve them, but I just like to be, again, I think I just need progress. It doesn't have to be big leaps, but I just got to mark something off my list and I need to be seeing progress. And so for me, it had gotten to where my paychecks were increasing. And like I said, thankfully, we were so blessed and my business had grown and I'd continued to grow it. And it was providing for our family. I mean, a little meagerly because I, had more potential that I could tap into. But so when I hit that, I tried so many times and people say, you just got to believe it and throw it out to the universe and you got to write it everywhere. And that had probably been about 5 years prior. I was like, now is my time. I've been sitting at Star for 5 years. And at that time, it had already felt like I'd been overbaked, and I was like, I just need to move on. And so at that time, I was like, it's all in my mindset. It's my power. I'm going to believe it. I'm going to dream it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to work harder. And you know what? It didn't happen. And that literally crushed me because I I had heard and told myself that if I just believed enough, if I just worked hard enough, if I just did more or was better, that I was the reason why something just wasn't clicking. And so I threw my everything into it that year. And like I said, there was just a lot of pressure because my husband had lost his job. So I was like, okay, this is me. It's all on my shoulders. I've got to go full time and make this happen. And it wasn't just that in the nooks and crannies of my life and kind of pulling back on the reins so that I could have the life I wanted. It was now like, okay, reins are off, you can charge full ahead. And I'd always kind of told myself in the back of my head, well, I'm holding myself back intentionally because I'm choosing this life instead. But if I had more time, or if I had more focus, or if this was what I really wanted to do, I could do it. And you know what, Melissa, I didn't do it. I didn't achieve that goal in a big way. I didn't even come close. I'd had 3 directors and I just needed 1 more. So it was just that one little teeny slot in my little list of goals that I needed. And at that one time in my potential, I had 3 different people that could have been that one spot. They all looked really good. We all had the plans in place. There was kind of no way it couldn't happen. But guess what? It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And so to me, that was more pivotal and monumental in why am I here? Who really am I? What value do I provide? And what do I want my life to be? Is it defined by my success, by my title? Is it defined by an award that I earn or don't earn? Is it defined by if I'm asked to speak at SFR or not? Like all of these things that kind of, it's easy to get sucked into and that I allow myself to be defined by sometimes. I had to strip that all away and say, if I never promote, if I'd still been a certified consultant, what about my life is going to make my life fulfilling and make my life feel good and living my best life? And is Scentsy putting in its place so that it's a cog in that wheel, but it can't be my life. It can't be the thing that makes me feel successful or makes me feel defined. Or if I hit a certain amount of a paycheck, then I'm going to feel good. No, you kind of have to strip it back and say, what are my priorities? What is it that makes me happy? And Scentsy is such a powerful way to make those things happen, but it can't be that thing. And I've seen so many people think, well, once I get that title or once I make that check or once I something, because again, we need to be moving forward. But again, for me, at least in my experience, it had to be more than that. It had to be more than, so when I hit the title, it was surreal. And when I saw it flip over and my projected title SSD, it was just instant tears. And I didn't expect that because I'd been waiting for it and I'd lived that moment, for 10 years. But when it hit and it just, the waterworks started because it was like, I did it. But it really, nothing changed about how I led my team. Nothing. I mean, the only thing that changed was my paycheck, but you know what I mean? Like I was already living the life that I wanted to live. And I'm so grateful for that moment 5 years prior when I had decided what does make me successful in my eyes and what it does make my life good and happy, because otherwise I think honestly it would have been a letdown, because it is this big surreal moment and I finally made it and I got the most beautiful flowers from you and I was like, oh, Melissa even knows who I am and she brought these beautiful flowers and you know what I mean, like everybody celebrated me. And so all those things just make us feel good inside, that we're seen, we're noted, we're celebrated, and everybody is there to cheer us on and celebrate with us. And that's what I love about our community as well. But the flowers die, the cheers fade, as they're supposed to. We can't always live up here. And so anyway, I just am a huge proponent of living your dream life, which is going to look different than mine. And my dream life is even different than I thought it was going to be even 3 years ago, even 1 year ago, even, you know what I mean? But again, it's that prioritization of your happiness, your purpose, yourself, and that Scentsy gets to be an arm, or, all these relationships that we make with other amazing women and men that are just inspiring and powerful, help us to lead our best life. And I think that's my favorite part, is I literally am a different person, and being around other inspiring women and men, but mainly women, it's so empowering for women to inspire women. There's just some kind of raw connection, even if we are so vastly different, there's just an amazing connection in knowing she did it, maybe I can do it. But even more importantly, of who am I? Even if nobody else was there to cheer me on, even if there wasn't any big accomplishment, what do I really want out of life? When am I the happiest? When am I the most fulfilled? How can my light shine the brightest to where I feel just a happy life,
Did you ever have a point in time where you wanted to quit?
I'm laughing because yes, A lot of times. And it wasn't because I didn't like Scentsy, or it wasn't because whatever. I mean, there's a million reasons in life. Again, just that shifting of the river that just ebbs and flows. And sometimes you just get tired and you think, oh man, especially if you aren't achieving your goal that you want, or if you aren't feeling like your progress is as much as it should be. You know, there's lots of shoulds, or especially when I compare myself or my growth or my business or my income or anything, even my personality to somebody else's, and I think, oh, I'm not where I should be, then I think, oh, I put so much baggage in my backpack that I'm like, it would feel so much better to just take off this backpack and walk away. But really, truly, when I think about it, it wouldn't feel good. And sometimes the leverage in the back of our backpack is what we need to kind of ground us, if you will. You know, what else would I be doing with my time? I know I would find something else, but the trade-off for the responsibility, the weight, the crushed goals and dreams, sometimes the trade-off for that versus the connections, the purpose, the finding of self, the self-development, I don't know. It just, I've had to restart my mojo a million times and I've seriously thought of quitting probably 5 or 6 in my 13 years. Not because anything was wrong with Scentsy, but it just, life was happening. And a while ago, so my husband, right before I quit, honestly, I mean, right before my husband lost his job, 5 or 6 years ago, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to quit Scentsy. I'd been in it for, however long. And I was a star director. I was making good money. I had great relationships. I loved my business. But by that time had grown, I started with 3 little babies. And now at that time I had 5. And I think my youngest was probably in preschool. So I was like, I've only got 1 year with her as a 3-year-old, and then 1 year as a 4-year-old, and then 1 year as a 5-year-old. And then once they go in school, just life speeds up. And so I was like, if I really feel like my calling and my purpose, and I really want to be a good mom, maybe it's time for me to walk away. Not because there's anything wrong, but it's time to cut out some things so that now I am just a mom, if you will, so that I can fully devote because again, even if I'm not doing something, I tried very hard my whole 14 years to keep Scentsy in its place and my priorities where it is. But at the same time, it's always going in my mind. And it's really hard for me to shut off ideas or well, I should do this, or, okay, this girl is just kind of looping. How do I help her achieve her goals? And, that's the beautiful part of our business. But at the same time, it's really hard for me to shut that off and be fully present into whatever I'm doing. Even on a walk, that's where my brain goes, or at a workout, or, you know what I mean? I'm always doing something. So I thought, okay, here's the time. My husband has a good job. Like I said, this was prior to him being laid off. He has a good job. He's making enough to pay our bills. All those loans were gone. We've gotten rid of them in record time. So I was like, that was really my main goal. We've got enough money to pay for our needs and money in the bank. And mine, I'm just putting it in the bank. We have enough to even pay for extras at this time. So I was like, we're not rich, but we've got what we need. And maybe it's my time to say, that was such a great chapter of my life, and now it's time for a new chapter. And so for me, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And my husband, Dave, he was like, it's your thing. If you are ready to walk away, it's fine. And so for me, I'm a praying person. And so I took it to God and I was like, hey, I'm going to do what you want me to do. I'm going to close that chapter. I'm going to walk away. Thanks for the memories, And I just had this overwhelming feeling, you're not done yet. You can't walk away. Meaning I had almost thought that that's what God wanted me to do. And that was my higher purpose and my heart calling was that he was kind of like, yeah, you can play with this business on the side, but really it's just kind of, meeting your needs until you can live your higher purpose. But at that time, I learned the lesson that my higher purpose is what makes me me. My higher purpose is the whole complete Becky and everything that I want, my dreams, as well as the other parts of the story that are in my life. And that as long as I can keep it where I want it, that this could be the catalyst to help me live my dream life and the life that I want. And then it wasn't a burden or a rock in my backpack, but that it was truly something, as long as I kept it within the parameters of what I wanted it to look like, that it could be the reason I could live the life that I wanted to live. And fast forward. So I made that choice of, okay, I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna stay here. And then guess what? I can't even remember how many months, within 6 months, my husband lost his job, and we ended up needing to live off of my Scentsy income for 5 years while he looked for the dream perfect job, because we were given that option to be choosy. And he was home raising our babies and coaching every kid's basketball team and just fully involved, which was his dream life that I didn't know he needed. You know what I mean? Like, just the story ebbs and flows so much that it's like they say, one door closed, another door opens. And sometimes you can keep multiple doors open. It doesn't have to be one door,
Yeah.
So.
And how cool that you just said that you, by making the choices and decisions that you made for you, for yourself, for your family, but that your husband even got to realize some of his, I mean, how cool is that? And we hear that story about families being able to realize or imagine past what they thought was possible.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you touched on the community that we have here. And can you speak to that just a little bit? Because it's important to us. We know what the community here at Scentsy means to us, but can you speak to that? Because you referenced it, and it's actually something I always like to bring up, but can you speak to that?
Well, so I think it's unique where I came from, wanting to kind of be a business owner and this rock star employee and executive, and you know what I mean? So that's kind of a very top down, very, a linear kind of I'm living my goals by moving up the ladder, if you will. And so going from a business owner to the community of Scentsy, it's one thing that it's taken me a while to get used to, especially when my success was hindered, if you will, by the non-success of my team, and I couldn't find people or attract people or help people. Their dreams changed. So who am I to say you need to be a director because that's my dream? You know what I mean? And so that reality, if I were a business owner, I could have just fired them or hired somebody else, or you know what I mean? Like the dynamic of owning a Scentsy business and running and being a part of this kind of community, totally different. And I think that's now I get to partner with people. So I can't push them. I can't say, do this because I'm your superior. You got to do this or you're going to leave. You know what I mean? It's a totally different dynamic. And I think I've really grown into that, where the dynamic of community of top down, it still needs to be that same partnership all the way through, up and down, and that it's not a hierarchical, but it's also the community laterally with people like you who aren't part of my Scentsy team. You don't get paid on me. I don't get paid on you. I'm not going to get a promotion by, schmoozing with you and brown nosing with you know what I mean? Like it's such a different world. And to me, it's freeing. It's beautiful. And like I said, I love people, but I'm not naturally a big connector with like besties, or I don't really necessarily even have a group. I'm kind of all like friend of all and bestie with none, probably just because I kind of just get in my own life and do my own thing. And so I'm not very good at connecting by my nature. And so that's, I think, one thing that I love about the Scentsy culture of connection is that it has morphed me into somebody that I literally would not be if I didn't have to stretch outside my comfort zone and create those opportunities for connection and giving and taking. Sometimes I had to take, sometimes I could give. And it's all this beautiful, it's like they say, the rising tide lifts all boats. And I love that part, that I don't have to step on somebody else to get up the ladder, but that we can all climb the ladder together. And that if I share something that's worked for me, or even my story of when I pushed through, because sometimes that's all it takes, is to just keep going or to try something new, just the persistence and perseverance. If I could say anything is my key to success, it was just that. I didn't do anything exceptionally well. I wasn't exceptionally, talented or like the life of the party, so people just come to me or anything like that. But I just had to try new ways to try something else when something didn't work. And I just kept going, one foot in front of the other. That little 1% increase over the long haul really does create momentum and belief and the belonging. One time when I was trying to figure out what in the world is my role as a leader in my home, in my church, in my community, and definitely as a Scentsy leader, because kind of as a leader, you're charged with the opportunity to help inspire other people. Once you're inspired and once your life has been so expanded, it's kind of our charge to help bring others along. And I was thinking, how do you even do that? How do you show somebody their potential? How do you show somebody else that there is more, and kind of get them out of that little box that humans put themselves in of, this is all I need, or this is my life, or this is what it's going to look like? And how do you just expand that? And so I was thinking, it's not a training, it's not a tip, it's not a program, but I've found that in my life, when I can hone into these three principles, whether, like I said, it's parenting my kids or leading my Scentsy team or even just my own personal growth, there are three keys that I've found. And so everything that I try to do, it revolves around those three things: building belief, belonging, and momentum. And the momentum is the 1%, just keep doing 1% better. And that's progress. I've got something that I don't have to restart every day. So that momentum. And the belonging is the community part. And if you don't feel like you belong, guess what? If I don't, it's because I'm not belonging and I'm not looking for ways that I belong. I remember one SFR, it was Kansas City. I don't know why. I'd already been a consultant for a long time. And for some reason, I didn't have a lot of team that was in Kansas City, I had a lot of locals. And so they're kind of doing their own thing. And I found myself walking all by myself without any evening plans. The SFR was done for the day. SFR is our convention. So this big, surrounded by thousands of people. And here I am all alone. And at first there was that panic of, okay, what do I do now? I need this connection because I know that's one of the three cores. I need belief, belonging, momentum, and I don't have any belonging. I don't belong. I'm just by myself. And then I thought, what are you talking about? You belong with everybody. So instead of me thinking, oh, I don't belong here. I don't have anybody. I need somebody so that I'm not walking down the hall by myself. So I just pasted a big old smile on my face. It was probably a little fake, but I just thought, whatever. And I just smiled at everybody and said hi to everybody along that hallway. And guess what? I found connection. I made new belongings that I didn't even have. And I created some relationships with people that I didn't have. So that's what I love about Scentsy or just any place where we can find, is you carve out your own belonging and you can carve it out for others. And that's kind of the culture that we get to be a part of. Is it's not I'm in it for myself, or I need all these friends to build me up so that I'm famous or so that I am popular, but that it literally is, we're all in this together and we get to just link arms. Even if it's somebody you don't know yet, they can be your next best friend. And I love the community culture, like I said, of just because I'm on this team doesn't mean I can't share ideas with you. And that lateral connection, some of my best ideas, some of my best inspiration comes from not even my upline or my downline or whatever, but just from somebody else that's in it where I am, or that's been where I've been. And they say, I tried this or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, that's the community that I love, that I thought I would be missing without that, kind of chain of command, but that I find is so powerful and so refreshing. Is the journey is yours to take and to create. And if you are in a place in your business where you're like, I don't have that sense of belonging, guess what? You can put a smile on your face and walk down the hall and you will belong, because our culture is inherent that we are open doors. But sometimes we have to we have to walk through that door to be like, hey, can I come in?
Yeah.
But that they'll open that door and that it's open to all. And I love that.
Yeah. And that's just it. If you don't like something, put your foot forward to change it.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Even if it's scary. Yeah.
Even if it's scary, listen, it doesn't matter if we are walking to the mailbox, things are scary. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. And so it's putting that foot in front of the other, but realizing that you are the ambassador for where you go.
Yes.
Or where you go. Two of my favorite things that tie directly into what you just said, two of my favorite things that I say, and I say this often to my team, is one, with regards to our community, the value you find in our community is directly related to the value you bring. You can't love belonging in a community if you provide nothing to the community. And the second thing is, I can't force you to work, but I can show you why you want to. And that's really the motto that I conduct myself as a leader of my team and my organization, and even people outside of my organization, because like you said, it doesn't matter where you fall in the Scentsy community. We're doing this together. We are better together. And so that's kind of how I run things, is I can't make you work, but if you show up, I can show you why you want to. And you really tied all of that into a really pretty package with exactly what you just said. And so thank you for touching on that. We talk about our community a lot, and I think it's because it is so special to what we do here, because we sell products. That's the worldview. That's what they see when they look at us. But to us, we share products, we share opportunities. And realistically, I think the biggest opportunity that we share is the opportunity for growth within ourselves. because none of us that have been with Scentsy for a long time are the same person that we were when we started. The reason we started has changed. Why we stay, maybe there's a little bit of the same on why we stay, but even that has grown. We have carved our own paths, because if you do want to stay here, you have to carve your own path. You don't want to be somebody else. Your customers, they don't want to do business with somebody else. They want to do business with you. So why should they? And I think that we foster such amazing personal development and growth that we're never done learning. We're never done helping. We're never done growing. And I think that's fundamental to us as humans, and especially as women that come from a society of competition, as if we have to step on each other to get somewhere. But not here. We don't do that here. I want you to succeed. There's room for all of us. There's room. You proved that. You knew 30 consultants when you joined, and my goodness, back in 2008, nobody knew what Scentsy is. And what's even here is when we come into town, us out of towners, we come into town and take an Uber or Lyft ride, and the driver doesn't know what Scentsy is. And I'm like, how can you drive past the building all the time? How do you not know what it is? And so there is growth potential and opportunity even today more than ever. More than ever. We are very lucky. We experienced hyper growth through the pandemic. If there was only one positive thing that came out of the pandemic, it is that our businesses thrived, and we are still on that momentum of thriving. And so what would you say is right now your greatest reward with your business? We know what it's done for you along the way. You've given us kind of that path, but what is your greatest reward today? You've made it. In the eyes of, if we are checking boxes, you've made it. So what is the reward today?
I think that goes along with your why or your purpose or whatever. And so for me, I think that it changes. And so what is the reward? The reward is getting to live the life that I want to. I don't have to go to work when somebody says or how somebody says. I don't have to report to a boss who might not want me to do it how I want to do it. And again, I think for me, I love progress and I love hope for something. Even if it doesn't turn out, I got to have something to hope for, something to be working towards, that even like you said, you made it. And I'm kind of, well, I didn't make it. I didn't, you know what I mean? There's still more to do. And it's just, I think when I just have created over the years, this long-term view of retiring with Scentsy and not having to have like this bucket or this pond of retirement money, but I've got a river coming in. So again, I haven't made it now because I haven't retired. You know what I mean? Like it's the life that I get to lead and the hope for the life that I get to continue into the future and what that will look like. That to me, it's the freedom to do what I want when I want. And, that takes money, that takes time, that takes opportunity. And I get to carve that out. And what I want today, I know just based on 5 years ago, what I'm going to want in 5 years is probably not going to look like what I even think I want right now. And that's what I love, is it's the hope, the opportunity, the open-endedness of I'm in control. And there's a lot of things we don't control, but literally the path I put my feet on is the direction I get to go. And I love that.
I love that you said it's not a pond, it's a river.
Isn't that amazing?
It's so true. It's so true. And nobody's telling me that I can't do more.
Yeah.
I'm not capped. There's still unlimited potential. I still have room for growth. I don't know everything. I haven't tried everything. I haven't touched all of my people. My network is still growing. My connections are still growing. And so for me, that breathes life into me. Because
it's hope. Yeah.
It is the hope that there is still more. And I haven't reached my potential.
Yep.
It's awesome. Okay. So let me just see. First, tell me, because this is one of my favorite questions to ask. So we're on a lighter side of things. Tell me things that you love. Just throw them at me. Ramble and tell me things that you love.
Things that I love. I love sunshine. I love happiness. So yellow is my favorite color because I love sunshine. I love things that make me feel light. I love happiness. I love it when people get along. I love friends. I love feeling like I belong. I love feeling like I have a purpose. I love that my, um, what do you call it? Like when I'm putting something off, my buffering is that I bake or cook for my family. so, so I love to cook, but usually I find that I cook when I'm putting something else off that I need to be doing. Like when I'm dreading something, I find that I'll go bake something. So I love to bake. I love to cook. I love to feed my family healthy meals. I love my family. I love to be around. My son got in a car wreck this week and totaled his car, and he walked away unscathed, he just with a few little bumps and bruises. And again, it just reconfirmed that I love my life where it is. I love being here for my kids. I love that he can take my car and I don't have to be without one because he has to go to school and basketball and practice and take a test after. But I can stay home and he can have my car so I can help make his life better because my life is my life and I get to make it what I want. I love freedom. I love flexibility. I love choice. I love agency. I love empowerment that I get to choose how I think, how I feel, what I do. I didn't know that I was such a free bird, but I just need to be untethered and to, even if I am doing the same things, if I feel like somebody's making me do those things, I don't love that feeling. And I've really, over the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, I've just come to really tune into what do I like? What makes me feel light and happy and progress? And so it's all the things. I like it when my house smells good. I like a clean house. I like to work out. I like to feel like my body is strong and that it can do what I need it to do. Like I like to go for walks because I love nature and I love to look at the fresh air, and it kind of helps me, I don't know, just recenter for a little bit. I love to be with people, but I found that I am a social introvert. So I need a little time to regroup after a while, but yet I do. And the pandemic has taught me that I love people, and I do love people. So a lot of times people think that introverts would just be happy in a cave by themselves. And some of them might be, but I'm not. And I love people. I love to be around people, and I love connections. I love connecting on a deep level with people. I love being real and authentic because I can't fake it. I am how I am. And if you don't like me, that's fine, but this is me, I love to go to Costco because it's a good deal. I am very cheap. I love to save my money. I love to make money. So that's kind of all the things that I love.
I, uh, and your passion just for the simplest things oozes from you. Like it would be impossible for somebody to listen and really like I had to lean in because I'm in with you. Like I'm loving those things for you. It would be very difficult to listen to that back and not just be like, hi, I love that too. And I love and here's why it's so important that we pull those things from the back of our mind to the front is because we are the stewards of our own happiness.
Yes.
We are responsible for finding our center so that we can be the things we need to be for others. And as women, it's very easy for your cup to empty quickly. And if you lose sight of the things that make you happy, okay, so you might bake to procrastinate. But you know what? That's okay. We're allowed to give ourselves that grace period to reset and to separate from it for a minute, because when you work from home, you walk past your office, you'll walk past your desk. If you worked outside of the home, you would if you worked outside of the home, you would leave that and you would come home and it's a separate space. But from working from home, you still walk by your desk, you still walk by your office. And so I think it's okay to have that. I'm going to go bake and I'm going to step away from everything. And it's not that I'm neglecting it. Maybe I feel like I am in the short run, but I need a little bit of that reset. And so
I can do that. And then I come back and get it done, and no one's going to fire me even if I don't get it done. You know what I mean? Like it's literally not life and death. And like you said, the reset to just go do something and then come back. And that's what I love is I am in control. I am in control of my life, what I want it to look like. And even if I'm buffering a little by procrastinating, it all gets done and the important things get done. And it makes me able to show up better,
Do you have a favorite quote?
I love quotes. I do. They're so inspiring to me. And so I have a lot of favorite quotes. But if I would say a favorite quote because of what it's done to my life and done for my life, it's a quote by Donald Cowan. He's a neurologist out of Canada. And my husband read it to me years ago, and it changed everything that I do about everything. And it's not like this motivational quote. It's not like an empowering quote, but it has been one that I've been able to apply in so many aspects of my life that I love it. And he said, and I'm going to paraphrase because I can't remember exactly, but he says something about the main difference between logic and emotion is that logic leads to conclusions and emotion leads to action. So if I'm trying to convince my kids to make a better choice or to do something different, and I'm on the logic of, well, this is why you should do it. These are all the benefits. This is what's going to happen if you don't. And I'm up here in the logic. Well, according to him and his study of the brain, that's going to lead them to the conclusion. Oh, you're right, Mom. That's a better choice. Oh, you're right. I might get in trouble, or I might get in a car wreck, or I might whatever. It's all up here. And they can see, they can agree with me. But I don't want it to stay here. I need it to get to their actions, whether I'm trying to inspire somebody on my Scentsy team to push a little harder, dig a little deeper, whether I'm trying to get my kids to make their bed, or, you know what I mean? Like from little to big choices, even myself, logic leads to conclusions, emotion leads to action. Isn't that amazing?
How, isn't it funny when the right words are put together, how powerful it can be?
Mm-hmm.
How powerful, and especially when you're able to kind of be introspective and dissect
And apply it. Yeah.
And apply it. Okay, so time with you goes so fast. I can't even believe that, like, I have enjoyed this so much. Your energy is absolutely contagious. I have to be clear and make sure that you know that there is always, absolutely, without a doubt and without an invitation, a seat at my table.
Oh, thank you.
The sense of belonging is not anything that you ever have to long for, because you have it. And is there a question that you wish I would have asked you?
I don't know if I wished you would have asked me, but I thought that you might ask me, what does it mean to run it like a business, and how have you run it differently than the traditional, or how have you carved out something that's different? And I think that path is lonely when you dare to kind of stand alone and do your own and kind of rethink things. But anyway, so I thought maybe you would ask that. So I was like, well, I don't know, how do I run it like a business? And I think it has more to do with accounting for my time, ROI, return on investment. And it's more of a less social hobby kind of a thing. I went into it knowing I need to make money out of this. And so I've expanded internationally. And that was a great move for me because, again, it was a calculated business decision. And it wasn't just an opportunity that fell in my lap, but it was one that I went for because I could see from a business standpoint, this is where I need to go. Or like I said, I kind of didn't stay within my own core from the very beginning. I said, if I need to make this a business, I need a bunch of legs of my table that are spread out. And so anyway, and like I said, we could go into what I've done, but I thought that's what you might ask, just if that's what I started out to do. And if that was the burning question that I thought, okay, when my mom said, run it like a business, how did you run it like a business? What was different than maybe what somebody else would have done? And I think, again, like I said, it's evolved. But again, for me to run it like a business and to keep my priorities where they were, it meant that I couldn't do home parties in the evening. That's when my husband's home. That's when my kids are home from school. That's my first priority. So again, I couldn't just do it that way. So I hadn't built my business on a bunch of home parties, and I've done some fundraisers, and I've done some, I kind of just tried something to figure out what it was and to find my niche, how I could run it in a sustainable way that was always growing. Because again, growth is important to me, but that I could do something. So, I started a YouTube channel, and I figured out how to make a blog and a website, and you know what I mean? I just kind of tried something new. I had basket parties that I'd mail all over the world. And, I tried networking in different countries just to try to figure out how to go. And so anyway, just kind of a business perspective of where am I, what are my opportunities now, and what are the holes in that opportunity, and where do I feel like I need to go, and just kind of always looking at that more of a business lens. That's been good for me.
But I love that you bring that up because, and thank you for that, because but I love that you bring it up because there isn't just one way to work this business, and you have to customize it based on how it fits into your life. This is not to overtake your life. There's going to be times it's more demanding than others. As anything that we do, you could be a Girl Scout leader and it's going to take up more time sometimes, probably during cookie season, than others, right? But that you are able to pick one way and try it, and it's going to work or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you make that a habit and it works, then you're able to add something else, and you've taken a route that is probably a little bit different than people that are like, okay, I need to do events, have fundraisers, host home parties, and do on the go parties. That's the 4 components. And that isn't the 4 components.
Mm-hmm.
There are 10 different, 15 different, 20 different other ways to pursue success based on how it fits. And I think that when you make it fit into your life, instead of making it overpower the things in your life, it has a more lasting impression. There's more staying power when it's incorporated, not, overwritten or overwriting something else. And so I love that you said, I've tried this and I'll do this. And this is what fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
This is what and the path and the journey isn't always quick. We know that. When you want to lose 100 pounds, you can't do that without losing the first pound.
Mm-hmm.
And that is such an analogy that you can apply to anything, but you especially can apply it to, you can't get to point Z without starting at point A.
Yep.
You might skip a couple steps or something along the way and still progress, but it's not not a race. This is not a race. And you prove that too. And to all of those that are listening that say, I have been at this level for X amount of time, you are a testament that continuing to push on, you can see results. You can see results. And a lot of times on that journey, when you question yourself, if I should continue to push on, it's very easy to get distracted by shinier things.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to be like, maybe this isn't it. Maybe the self-doubt overtakes us. We're women. It's self-doubt is a constant wheel in our minds, but that you have the ability to step outside of yourself and say, look, do I want to start over?
Mm-hmm.
Or could I start over in my business with something already established? Could I make things happen? Could I make things happen and still have everything that I've already built? Instead of starting over with nothing, you're starting over with what you've already, what you're able to build upon.
Yeah, totally. And if it doesn't feel good now, you can find a different way. You know what I mean? Like a lot of my business, I don't like to text people unless I know that they're my customers that are going to, but I don't like it because I don't like the rejection of them being like, no, stop texting me. You know what I mean? So I found that for me, I really like building my email list. And that's very effective for me because I found a way for me that I wasn't doing that 2 years ago, but I've morphed into something new. So again, if you're feeling like your business is heavy or you're at a stopping point or you're at a standstill, there's so many different ways for you to try. And nobody could really tell me, well, do this, because I didn't know it was going to be different for me, or maybe it hadn't even been invented yet. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things that you said there's 10 different ways you could run your business. Well, there might even be an 11th that isn't even thought of yet, or that hasn't been done yet, or that even with technology isn't created yet. You know what I mean? Like it literally is something we have to keep changing and trying something new and evolving into what fits for us. And if you try it on, you're like, oh, I just don't like this. That's okay. Take it off. Try something else, because you've got it. Like you said, it's that staying power that is key.
Yeah. So you have the opportunity and platform to say anything that you want to take us out. So it can be anything. You can say anything, and this is how we will end our time together, even though I feel like I could sit and talk to you for hours and hours and hours.
I know. I wish I was out there on your back patio sitting with you on the couch, and we would talk for hours and hours and hours. But I think a business is beautiful, and a business is a vehicle to make your dreams come true. If you don't know what those dreams are, it's okay. It's not too late. It's never too late. And it's never long gone. Just like I thought at the beginning, oh, there's already 5,000 consultants. This ship has sailed. Your opportunity with life, whether it's talking about a business or a personal growth opportunity or a new chapter, it's never over. You are writing the story. And every year I pick a different word because I had a hard time because, again, I am a goal maker. And if I can't check off the list and say I've done this list, then I kind of feel like I failed. So with my New Year's resolutions, I used to make goals and check off. You can't really check off a list of becoming because you never arrive. So for me, something that fits better is finding a word of the year, something that I focus on, something that I kind of think about, that it kind of infiltrates all of it. And my word of the year this year is me. So I think, and it's been transformational. What makes me happy? What makes me whole? How do I feel when I'm doing this, when I'm talking this way, when I'm interacting with this person? What is it that makes me me? And I think once we can tap into that, that is how you can tap into your future, your potential, not who you are now, but who can you be in the future, and who can you bring along with you along the way? Because when you are the best version of yourself, that's when you can shine and be sticky and live to your best potential, but others can't help but come along with you. So I think the thing is, if you don't really know, like I said, I'm 43 years old. I had to have a me year to kind of reset and be like, well, what is me at this point in my life? What makes me me? What makes me happy? What makes me sad? What makes me frustrated? What do I need to add into my life? What do I take out of my life? And that's not selfish. That is self-introspective of, how do I become the best version of me? I'm not trying to become somebody else, because there's a million things that I could say, well, I lack this, I'm not good at this. That's okay. For me, what's the best version of me? And I think that is how you tap into your power in a community, as a neighbor, as a mom, as an aunt, as a granddaughter, as a whatever, as a Scentsy consultant. The most powerful version of you will have the most power in your worlds, whatever that looks like.
I love it. And I think that's the best way to take us out. Who am I and who can I be? Oh, Becky, thank you so much for sitting down with me. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for the invitation. It was so fun. I love chatting with you. And obviously we could chat for days.
We absolutely could. Thanks.